Hotham Mission Asylum Seeker Project works with asylum seekers who are living in the community, having arrived usually in Victoria by plane, legally on an entry visa of some sort. So our little organisation began about 14 years ago to try and reach out to those people and provide them with housing and a little bit of income to survive on, basically get them through that period until their claim was determined. So that's what we've done mostly over the 13, 14 years we've been in operation. But more recently we've also taken on another role, and that is that the federal government is trying to bring at least children and unaccompanied young people out of detention in remote locations. So they're people who have arrived by boat and been put in detention centres. And because we were one of the only organisations that had ever specialist provided accommodation and support services for asylum seekers, they called on us to pilot this, and so we now are housing and looking after about 40 unaccompanied young people here in Melbourne as well, while their claims have been determined. So it's basically, we're about looking after people who are seeking asylum in Australia and who have no entitlements and no means to just keep themselves alive and together, and while their claims have been determined. One of our biggest problems was that the cost of utilities for our asylum seekers living in our donated houses was just blowing out. And not only the cost, but the amount of time our caseworkers had to spend negotiating with utilities companies. So we went to Good Company, and we got an amazing volunteer, Greg, who was able to, along with our sister organisation Kildonan, who looks after people who are homeless in the Australian community, he was able to negotiate with the utilities companies, get us a much better deal, help us set up systems for training our asylum seekers. And not only has that helped us cut time and cut costs dramatically, but it has also led to new business for our sister Kildonan, who are now doing energy audits for the Victorian government on their public housing stock. Our staff really didn't, on the whole, our social workers and so on, even have basic Excel skills, let alone access skills. So in order to purchase that would cost a lot of money, and also, you know, you send people off to courses, and you've got to slot into what the course is teaching and so on. So being able to get Jonathan, who came to us through Good Company from the National Australia Bank, was fantastic. He was able to come in, do a tailored workshop for us on Excel, and really address the pinpoint needs of our staff and their working environment, what they needed. And so just within a half a day he really clicked with our group. They just came away feeling much more confident about what they needed to do and how they could do it, and we followed up with an access. Now that was really just an introduction, but it gave them enough skills to be users of the access databases that we set up. I think probably the key thing is having a very clear idea of what you want to do and what the scope of the project is, and if that and you have to be committed to supervising it. You have to be committed to really giving the person who's coming in the time they need to understand what you want, and then being ready to respond to them quickly once they start producing things. Yeah. One of our big needs is that we're unable to retain lawyers, but increasingly we're dealing with contracts, and we just need some, you know, at the time help from a lawyer to look at contracts, help us deal with contracts that will help us to take on this new government work, or to have a better framework for tenants agreements with our new clients. So these are things that we can't actually afford to retain somebody, but we do need that pinpoint help very urgently at particular times. So yeah, if I wanted to have some accountant to help set those up for us, but I don't quite know how to frame it exactly, what do I do?
Yeah, well, it's perfect, and I think that's where a lot of people stop. They think, oh, I don't know exactly how to frame it, so I'm not really sure what I'm asking for. And my advice would be to do it as best as you can, and perhaps frame it in such a way as, I think it's about this. It may change, the scope may change, but if you could come in and spend some time with us. Another option, if it's really an area that you're not sure about, sounds like you're pretty clear, but if it's an area you're not sure about, you could say, could someone spend some time, up to 4 hours, scoping this project out with me? Particularly in IT, I found people not really sure around the particular skills they need, and if they can scope the project out with a person who's familiar with that, they might be able to work out and frame it better for another volunteer. You might even create a relationship with someone who you can then use ongoingly. A lot of our corporate clients and partners have volunteer leave, so they might have 8 or 16 hours to offer a community group. So if they can do part of the project, it will get you in a good start, and it might actually define it or create a direction that you hadn't even considered, but with their expertise and availability, it can really work for you. Because we're working now more where we have volunteers coming to us saying, I can't find a project using my skills, can you help us find a project? So we're creating a bit of a database of people who haven't been able to find something.
Oh, okay.
There are times that just there's a drought of projects in a particular skill set, or it's a very specific skill that people aren't asking for. And our experience is when we talk with community groups, they go, oh, of course I'd use that person if I only knew they were out there. So we're trying to kind of break down that sort of communication barrier, I guess, where people don't know what each other wants. So that's another option. Let us know what you're looking for, and we can perhaps have a volunteer ready to go.
Okay.
I think there's no limit to what you can ask for, and that's why we used to call them wishes, because you are wishing for something, and it might be granted, hopefully, by a volunteer. One option is to put it out there as sort of like a mentor or an advisor, and state that it would be on and off over a period of time, and perhaps then negotiate with someone as to how long you want it to be ongoing. But I think that would really interest professionals, because it's something that they can do and fit into their busy lifestyles and work life. So yeah, sure, ask for it. We've definitely had HR advisors and mentors for CEOs and particular roles in an organisation, so you can call up when something's pressing.
I want to make sure that I'm not wasting that person's time. So sometimes you put out a wish and it's for a particular thing, and somebody will come back. The very first one actually was a good example for us. We wanted somebody to help us develop a database, and the person came back and said, well, you know, my skills are nearly there and I can do this and that. And we talked a bit and realised that, well, that person could deliver a particular type of database, and we'd have to morph everything we had into what that person could do, and that really wasn't the right fit. We really needed someone who could come and look at what we had and help us take that on. And so we decided not to go ahead with that one. But it was great that person kind of put their hand up and said, well, maybe I can help, and they were cool about it, you know, but in the end it didn't work out. We just had a couple of conversations and decided, no, probably not that one. The two Good Company volunteers, well, we've had 3 excellent Good Company volunteers, and in each of those occasions, it wasn't last minute. We were able to decide what we needed, and I was able to write the wish up and had the time to, first of all, wait for someone to respond. It can take a little while, although they're sometimes very quick. It's great. And then once the person got in contact, to be able to really talk with them and understand what they were looking for.
It might be that one volunteer comes in to do something and ends up saying, hey, I've actually got this skill as well, would you like to use it, or expanding your network through them.
Absolutely, and well, that's right, and it's exactly the case with certainly with Greg, that he came in to help us do one thing, but he's just a fantastic project manager, and so he's now helping us with something completely different.
Well, I guess one of the things I love about Good Company and what we offer is an ability to take away the services and stuff that you don't have in-house and have a volunteer complete those or fulfil them for you, so you can focus on what you do best and what your structures. So it's you're directly impacting the community, and we're taking away some of that sort of drag. Or all the organisations we've been talking to, it's really clear that volunteers make such a difference to the community. You mightn't feel that it's direct, but as Michael said, it really does have a direct impact, and impact that's really satisfying for everyone involved. We want to be free for community groups and volunteers, so we need our corporate supporters and governments and things to get behind us to allow us to do this for free for the community. It's really important.
I think for companies, whether they're like the National Australia Bank or whoever, creating an organised opportunity for their staff to contribute, or whether they're investing directly in funds into you. It's just a really strategic investment because it, as you say, the multiplier is enormous, and the cost for us of duplicating what you provide, well, we just couldn't do it.
If you're a volunteer, a community organisation or a corporate looking to get involved in skilled volunteering, go to our website www.goodcompany.com.au.